Welcome to your Money Morning Pearl. I'm Steve Keck. As the year moves forward, I think it's time for us to take a pause and have a little self-care. So what I'd like to bring to your attention this week is a condition called hurry sickness. The reason I want you to understand this is because I'm beginning to see this with some of the people that I'm working with, and it's affecting their job performance. And I want to make sure that you can either recognize it in yourself or recognize it in your team. This condition can be a little deceptive because while people tend to think they have given themselves a break, like ending their workday, they are constantly flooding themselves with information, and they actually never give their brain any real time to rest because their phones, their TVs, or their relationships are all engaging in content that is requiring them to constantly have to keep moving forward. And this is a condition that can really affect you or your team members. That actually shows up in some job performance issues that can affect your pipeline. And that's why I want to talk to you about it. Here are some of the symptoms of hurry sickness: irritability, hypersensitivity, tendency to isolate, can't ever feel like they can rest, constantly have to be doing something, and escapist behavior and emotional numbness. A couple of ways the emotional numbness or the escapist behavior shows up with your sales team is in the progress or the process of your pipeline. Those two are really critical, and they show up in your sales performance of your team is when they are just not that enthusiastic around closing deals. They tend to not respond to clients as fast. Had one situation where somebody actually waited 12 hours to respond to a possible prospect that could move the ball forward, and they took almost the entire day to get it done. You may see a salesperson's pipeline slowing down in that their response times to clients gets longer. They're slower to put new people into the top of the funnel. And what you're seeing a behavior pattern where they're just kind of becoming emotionally numb to the energy required to close deals. While as any good manager who's got the time to actually sit with someone and sort of micromanage them into those better behaviors again, the problem is not in their behaviors. The problem is that they are exhausted and they haven't figured out a way to recharge themselves on a regular basis. And so if you don't address that particular problem, you are constantly going to have to be managing that behavior. And as sales managers, we don't like to become micromanagers, so it's important to be able to peer behind the behavior to see what's really going on. It is a safe thing to assume that everyone in your sales team has dealt with a little bit of trauma over the last few years. And trauma doesn't just go away. It tends to hide itself inside a person's body, and they carry that anxiety and stress with them. And so in the energy that it takes to alleviate that often looks like small escapist behaviors or emotional numbness or a tendency to kind of keep busy so they don't have to address what's really bothering them. But if you don't get them into a place that helps them create space for healing or don't help lead them in that direction, you are going to risk losing that person for very unrealistic reasons. And this will affect your pipeline and their progress. So what I want you to do this week is I want you to Google hurry sickness. I want you to look at what these conditions are and start to think about your teams this week. Who might be displaying some of these things? Who's constantly on the move and never takes a break? Always busy, leaves work to go do something, cuts home, gets right into something, crack of dawn, back at the gym, and always doing something but never has any time to rest. Mental rest and physical rest will look different. If I sat at home and watched TV for 5 hours, I didn't really mentally rest, I just sat at home. It's not your job as a sales leader to help them figure out what all the solutions are. But if they do need some help, you can help them become aware that there is something going on that's more than just these little behaviors you're trying to modify with your management. So as a sales leader, you can avoid the drag on your pipeline by helping others get the rest and refreshed and understand what's happening to them so they can be on point when they come to work. So Google hurry sickness this week. See if anyone is starting to display a lot of the symptoms, and then maybe have a conversation around, is this what you're going through? Let them discover that for themselves. Give them the space to let them figure out what they need to do to combat this type of sickness, and you will find that they will re-engage with their pipeline and with the company. At Span the Chasm, we lead from a belief, behavior, outcome model. And if you need some guidance on how to affect a person's belief to be an optimal salesperson, reach out to us and let's have a conversation. You can find us on our webpage or one of our social channels.